Well, it's great to be able to talk to you today about my experiences of PACT and its benefits. I'm really keen to share my experience of how the PACT approach has really lent itself to going beyond solely improving communication, but the additional benefits that I've seen as well. So my son Frank is 14 now, and we've been doing PACT since he was 6 years old. And as a former teacher and now working as a PACT therapist, I'm really interested in how the successes of PACT in the home can be translated into the school and into community. So I hope to convey how PACT feels as a parent, but also from a PACT professional, how it actually works. So here, this is Frank. He's waiting for the lamppost to come on. This is something he's absolutely fascinated by. What order will it be? What will it look like? Really excited. And so he's doing one of the things he absolutely loves to do. And that's the point, really, because PACT helped me understand the importance of building shared attention as the way to increase language development, but also to build a strong, trusting relationship. So sharing Frank's interest, therefore, whatever that might be, was what I did and was what felt right. So it quickly becomes about the connection that's important rather than the content. And I noticed that when we were connected, Frank listened, and this enabled him to learn words naturally in context and within his motivations. And best of all, he wanted me there, and he was beginning to see the value and enjoyment in social communication. So it's important to say that PACT is really different from other interventions. It's entirely natural as far as the child's concerned. The adult is supported by the therapist to fine-tune their way of communicating. And in turn, the child wants to share more. And within this context, I'm not placing any demands on Frank to communicate. Instead, I'm sensitively modelling language at his level that he can then take on board and use. And gradually, I noticed over time him spontaneously initiating more and more, which was so exciting. Plus, I was gaining meaningful access into his way of thinking and what was important and exciting to him. So as I was understanding Frank more, the more he was feeling understood. And the more he felt understood, the more he wanted to communicate. So not only were Frank's initiations becoming spontaneous and natural, he was becoming a confident communicator, as I think this picture just demonstrates brilliantly. So, as I mentioned at the outset, I've seen this style of communicating having real additional benefits. As Frank and I sort of developed together in this sort of communication relationship, it enabled us to talk through situations and problem solve together. And I think this is because the conversation was so natural and low demand and often focused on his interests. So through his motivations and lived experiences, I could help build his social understanding. So this picture demonstrates, he has a solid interest in numbers, order, times of day, and that in turn helped him understand something that on the surface you may think he'd never be interested in or be able to really engage with and understand, like opening hours of places. But actually, if I can sensitively hook his interest onto something that's helpful for him to learn in daily life, then it quickly reduces anxiety around doing new things. And this is a particularly pertinent example because this was a change in opening hours. So Frank was able to compare the new hours with the old hours. And I think PACT helps you put the child in the driving seat and the adult follows along behind. So rather than arriving here saying, oh, look, what's different? I just waited, went at his pace, let him notice, and went with his way of communicating to me. So by following the PACT approach, I think there's real scope for using and building on the child's motivations to enable them to do things they may otherwise resist, which you might like them to do, or they might struggle to find meaning in. And I love this example because this is Frank sharing my interest, something I thought may not be possible. And it happened by seeing an opportunity. So again, hooking his interests, number, sequences, order, onto my interest, running. So, when Frank was relaxed, when his guard was down, when he was open to more, I'd just drop in facts about the race that he'd be interested in. And then we'd just chat about it. No pressure, low demand. What was my race number? How many miles? How many laps? Which road numbers would we be travelling on to get there? And sure enough, here he is showing a number 1 with his finger as I pass on the first lap. So all I've been saying really, I think demonstrates the potential of PACT when you apply these things to the school context. And I think it's here you can start to see real meaningful possibilities. So, you know, with a straightforward structure for professionals to follow, PACT provides your manualised step-by-step guidance with really clear, easy to follow measures, clear for parents, adults and professionals, that enable the adult and child to build a strong, trusting relationship. And this not only enhances their communication and their confidence, but it can build skills too. And I think these here are some key ingredients that PACT advocates, which are also what can help make a difference to learning, both in terms of the curriculum, but also social understanding and life skills. So for Frank to progress at school, it's been about noticing when he's most relaxed, most communicative, for staff subsequently to sensitively acknowledge that, build on that in the PACT style, by seizing those golden moments to build and maintain a conversation. On top of that, it's then about being flexible and taking opportunities within those moments to build social understanding or work on life skills, so everything feels manageable to the child. So this picture sort of illustrates the point I'm making. This is Frank's last sports day at school, at primary school. He doesn't want to compete, he's not interested. But previously, through working together, home and school, we'd noticed how good he is at taking photos, how communicative he is about taking photos. He's got a real talent there. And also, there's a job that needs doing. School need the photos taking for their website, their Twitter feed. So he takes the photos for school on sports day. And that's what I'm talking about, really. This is about increasing self-esteem, nurturing strengths and interests that could lead to a meaningful and sustainable outcome. And the children feel included. And so finally, for me, this sums up PACT. It's responsive, not prescriptive. As this picture shows on the trampoline, who says you have to jump on a trampoline? This is Frank's sister, Lottie. And if she'd insisted on jumping, the lovely shared moment that you can see here just wouldn't have happened. But instead, she noticed, she was flexible, she was sensitive, and she saw an opportunity for social interaction. So PACT acknowledges the child as an individual with strengths and interests, and it enhances relationships in the most natural and meaningful way. So I would love to see more and more families and professionals embracing this approach, as this will be how we improve the communication, well-being and outcomes for young people with autism.